how can companies, and I know that this is kind of a large thing that you do within your institute. Maybe you can give just a sneak peek as to how organizations can start to future-proof themselves. Obviously, going to yourself and the 311 Institute, but is there a way that they can start thinking about this before actually engaging with somebody that can help them through the process?
Yeah. So the absolute first thing to do basically is go out and explore, get a point of view, but also get out of your own industry. So I was famously say, with my keynotes, if you go and ask a retailer, what do they do? What industry are they in? They'll go retail, stupid. If you go and ask a bank, or a financial services organization, what industry they're in, they'll go, we're in savings and investments, stupid. And you can do that with the automotive industry. I'm in the providing mobility as a service or selling cars business, stupid. You go and ask a technology company, basically like the fat bags, like the Facebooks, the Alibabas, the Amazons, the Googles, all that sort of stuff. And you say, what industry are you in? And they'll go, all of them. So on the one hand, the fact that all these different industries are being digitized means that the individual boundaries and borders between them all that used to keep them distinctly separate is actually being eroded. Same for the energy industry, it's construction industry, et cetera, et cetera. Agriculture industry, that's a whole same conversation. So from a business perspective, get out of your comfort zone, explore your industry and other industries, figure out what timeline you're interested in. Bearing in mind, everything's accelerated. If you're interested in the next 10 years, because everything's accelerated, that's more like 7 years. 5 years is more like 2 to 3. So don't think linearly, expand your horizon to about 15 years. That's probably a kind of safe place. Go and have conversations with people, go and get people within your business to figure out how, if they were starting from scratch, how would they disrupt you? Really uncomfortable conversations with pretty much every organization, but I can show you how every industry is being disrupted from the inside out. This is where startups are great, because typically the people who disrupt you don't work in your industry. They work outside of your industry and they've got nothing to lose when your industry goes splat, or the way that your way of working or product development goes splat. So get get out there, explore, get a point of view, bring it back home, figure out what that means to you and your particular business. Figure out what it means basically to your vision and your horizon planning strategies, change those, and then go and start doing something. And what I mean by doing something is, if you've identified something that is potentially disruptive to your industry, go and start working with an ecosystem, work with accelerators, work with startup communities, create some entrepreneurs basically within your business. And you don't have to put a lot of money around this, but you can get, if you think that your industry is going to be disrupted by, for example, 3D printing robots that are printing buildings, put aside a $50,000 prize fund, and go and run a competition for startups who help you solve the problem of 3D printing a building at speed. You've now managed to ride that disruptive wave, and rather than having to spend $10 million yourself developing the technology, you spent $50,000 and you can buy the 20% equity stake in a startup, and there you go. You're now at the forefront of disrupting your own industry. And this is the thing, it's not rocket science. It's sort of fairly straightforward, but actually the number of times where you sort of have to sit down with people and say, this is what you do, and then they kind of go, oh yeah. Because most people don't give themselves the time to think. Again, when I'm sort of doing my keynotes, you ask an audience, how many of you take one day out of your business to really think about the future, the near future, let alone the far future, and the opportunities and threats that lie therein? You might get 3% of people going, me, and it's not an 8-hour day. They'll do it for a couple of hours. Most people live in their status quo, and you've got to get out of your bubble. You've got to get out your comfort zone, and you've got to make the time. If you don't make the time, you're going to get steamrolled by something. And then if you want to know what you're going to get steamrolled by, look me up and I'll tell you what you're being steamrolled by. And then I can sell your shares.
Perfect.